I want to talk a little bit tonight about how we might go about transforming learning using technology. So, Henry Ford says if you do things the way you've always done them, then you're always going to get the same kind of results. And certainly if we're substituting activities in the classroom, if we're asking students to do some writing, and what's the point in actually doing that? If you're going to write it, why type up a story? Why use Google to find your answers and just do that and just copy and paste the things you find on Google and Wikipedia? It doesn't transform learning, it doesn't help learning, and certainly it doesn't actually engage the learners as well. What's the point in doing it? Why even bother using technology if you're not actually going to make the best use of it? So I was lucky enough to have an opportunity to meet with a few people who introduced me to a thing called SAMR. And SAMR is a framework which has really helped transform me and how I think about using technology to support learning in the classroom. And it helps take learning from substitution to redefinition. Okay, so it's this framework, and there are 4 levels in that framework. You've got the substitution level, the augmentation level, modification and redefinition. And the first 2 levels up here are called the enhancement levels. Now those are things that you can use technology for. Okay, you can use technology to enhance learning, but actually it isn't going to transform it. The bottom 2 levels here, modification and redefinition, okay, are ones which use technology to bring about learning outcomes that would not have been possible had it not been for you actually having access and use of the technology. Okay? So what I've been able to do is use this sort of framework to help me, guide me, in ways in which I help students with their learning in my lessons. So I've taken an example to try and sort of explain it to you. So, substitution, we do some writing. Augmentation, we're taking the idea of King Lear. So here's a quote from King Lear. So we're augmenting and we're enhancing the learning of King Lear, and this quote from King Lear, by doing some simple things. So we're taking some words, we're highlighting them in a different colour, we're putting a little picture next to it of the moon, because we're talking about planets in the text there. And that's enhancing the learning. But is it actually transforming things? Is it making it really deep? Is it actually redefining how students are learning in the classroom? And no, it's not really, because actually, I can ask my students to write that by hand. And those keywords there, well, they could just underline them in a red pen, couldn't they? Yeah? That's not really doing anything different. It might make lessons more fun, but actually, is it transforming learning? No, it's not. So then we have the modification level, and these are things that couldn't really be done in terms if technology wasn't there. So, yes, we could ask students to just pass their work around the classroom and write little notes next to it in terms of feedback. But what I'm talking about here actually is using an online tool called VoiceThread that you might have come across. So a student can put work onto VoiceThread, yeah, and have it critiqued and sort of checked and fed back on by students all over the world. Yeah, so if you use something like quad blogging and you're blogging with 3 other classes across the world, you put your work onto VoiceThread, and on there you can ask those students to give you feedback. And you couldn't do that otherwise. You couldn't get that really broad feedback, and it has massive impacts on students and their work. Now, I talk with one of my colleagues who's here tonight, Amy Smart, and she says that blogging is so powerful because it gives students a real live audience. And that can actually need for not just modification, but up to the redefinition level. Talking about things like online debate, blogging, getting that feedback, using Skype and FaceTime, getting real people in. I was talking with a gentleman up in Nottingham recently, and in his lessons he'd been sort of teaching about governments, and it just so happened that Jim Knight MP was actually looking at the tweets, and what he did was actually he got Jim Knight to actually Skype in and talk to his class in his lessons, and talk about governments and what it's like to be an MP. Okay, how much better is that? I mean, he'd never been actually to get him into the school to talk, but finding the time to Skype in, that really does help to transfer learnings. One quick one here, Andy, you said about AppShare, well here's one I got from you the other day, and I've missed your one, Pete, sorry. But Pow2, really good tool for creating presentations online. So thank you for listening. I'm Mark Anderson. You probably know me as ICT Evangelist. If you don't, then that's me. And there's my blog. Thank you for listening. And I hope you're having a lovely good night. Thank you.